desolate out here. Hey sightseers, Sightseeing Sally here with Marty. We're in Picher, Oklahoma, checking out the remains of this abandoned ghost town. Now I want to give a quick shout out to somebody who had been watching my Centralia videos, Joan Miriam Hicks. She's the one that put Picher on my radar as a place I might want to check out. And I'm especially interested in Picher because it's not your average ghost town, as in like the Old West where gold mining and the rush and the boom and then people left because the money dried up. No, this is a mining story that involves more recent times. It involves lead and zinc mining, and what ended up happening is that they found that the mining that was occurring here ended up poisoning the land and poisoning the residents, which in the end it became a huge, massive cleanup operation it was deemed a Superfund site, and the residents were basically pushed out of their homes. I believe there may be a few people still living here, a few holdouts from that, but yeah, it's a tragic story that's happened more modern times and has nothing to do with the money drying up and has everything to do with not understanding the consequences of the mining going on. Picher's High School, home of the gorillas. Now it's behind fencing and you're not allowed to go in there. And if you look, you can see a bunch of trucks. You may even see some pulling in and out of the complex. They're now using this as a base of some sort of operations. I'm not sure what. Just think, looking down these streets, at one time there were likely kids playing in them, playing ball, hanging out with their friends, riding their bicycles, and now there's nothing. Except the sound of the grasshoppers. You can hear them and the crickets in the grass. It's just super dry here. So they have the fire hydrant cleared, I suppose, in case there's ever a fire out here. I want to be sure to put it out before it basically takes over the entire landscape. Wow. That is quite something to see. A lot different than it was in Centralia. There's a little bit more here to see than there. There they've pretty much taken everything down. But here you still have some buildings up. Showed you where the old school was, the old high school there. They're using that as a base for something there. I'm not sure, probably related to the mining or the cleanup. I don't know if they ever finished cleaning up here. This must be where the school's mascot ended up. Mother Nature's trying to take over. Not sure if this used to be some sort of driveway, roadway, or wide sidewalk, but the grasses are encroaching on it. Weeds are growing up through the cracks. Off in the distance you can see old power lines. You can see an old chair laying in the grass and the remains of an old trailer home which used to house somebody. Somebody lived here at one time. Really overgrown, obviously. You could tell walking through here. Don't want to step on any critters or snakes. So if I'm not mistaken, people were given a payout to leave. And then they left behind whatever they didn't take. Could also be that some of this stuff is just garbage that people have dragged here over the years. Like that Coke can. Whoever lived here had children. Could have been some squatters. And that baby stroller, that umbrella stroller, looks in fairly good condition considering. And there's even a dirty old diaper laying there, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe there was somebody squatting here at one time. I don't know what kind of crystals those are, but these are just laying here in a chunk of something. Might have been an old planter in front of this house. This house that looks like it's about to cave in. Let's go take a walk over and peek through the doorway. Be interested to see what's inside. Yeah, this place is obviously ready to fall down. Be better off just lighting the thing up with a match and letting it burn. An old sidewalk here in Picher, abandoned. And even though the town of Picher is a ghost town, save for the police officers that do training here, the main road is still a busy thoroughfare as a highway cuts right through Picher. So vehicles pass through here all day long, and yet this is what's left of the town. Walking through the abandoned streets of Picher, you can find remnants of the town that once was. In the background, you'll see what looks like the posts of an old basketball hoop. Of course, the backboard's missing and the hoop, but the pole is there. And then over here, you can see what looks like the remains of an old clothesline. Many of the buildings here in Picher are gone. We were actually talking to one of the officers who patrols the area, and he was telling us that a lot of the buildings have been burned down over the years, usually by people who are involved in drug-related type activities such as meth making, which is rather unfortunate. It would be nice to be able to come here and see what was left of the town that once was, but like I said, most of the buildings are gone because of that. A lot of that, what remains is the cement, the tile, and the foundations of the buildings that are no longer in existence. Must have been a subdivision, because the road just kind of brings you back around to the beginning. This is probably the only section of Picher that even looks remotely habitable, and yet you can tell that nature has started taking over in certain spots. Aside from the lawn being kept cut, you can see where some of the bushes are overgrown, and all the glass is gone, missing from the housing, and it's spray painted on the side on the brick. It says "keep out," obviously for safety purposes. But yeah, at some point there were people living in these homes, and their stories were being lived out here, and now they're empty. They're being used as training facilities, but still it seems rather sad that this town has become decimated from something related to the mining industry. And in the background you can see the reminder, that pile of chat or tailings just sitting there waiting to be removed. Going through Picher, you see a lot of this, the barbed wire fencing off whole areas, whole blocks. They did this after the feds came in and took over the land. They fenced it off because, of course, there's hidden dangers beyond this. The mine shafts could be anywhere. And obviously, they don't want anybody walking around and falling down a mine shaft and getting hurt. But also the fact that the lead and the zinc was poisoning the people living here in this town, and so they don't want people walking around and, I guess, getting exposed to that hazard. Oddly enough, the Picher Cardin public school sign for their community playground sports complex is in relatively good condition. You almost expect it to have information on it telling you when their next game is. This building looks a little bit more industrial. It may have been some sort of warehouse for something at some point. And if you notice in the background, you can see the Picher Water Tower. Gorilla since 1918. So this town's been around since 1918. Here's the inside. Looks like some of the graffiti artists have been by here. If you look up, that's an old heater. So this probably was some sort of industrial complex, probably some kind of warehouse type thing. If anybody is from Picher and knows the answer, leave it in the comments section below. This is what's left of Picher's sports complex, the school's complex. Mother Nature is definitely taking over here with nobody here to tend it. An old picnic table, the grass growing all up around it. It's made out of cement, so that thing's gonna last a long time. Probably a lot longer than you or I. And in the background you can see the scoreboard when the kids played their games here. The building, probably where you got your concessions. Another picnic table off to my right. A brick area here, probably had flowers planted in it at one time. Now it's just weeds. Come walking up on the building. This would have been the window where you likely would have ordered your popcorn, your ice cream, whatever it is that you were going to have while you were hanging out watching the game. I don't know if this is football or baseball or both. Kind of looks like it could have been used for both. And I thought Centralia seemed post-apocalyptic. This by far takes the cake with the vibe here. You just walk around, and aside from all the traffic coming down the main highway there, is just eerily desolate. All you can hear is the wind just kind of blowing through the leaves, through the grasses, and there's not a single sound. No kids laughing, no radios blaring, no basketballs pounding against the pavement, nothing. And if we pan from the scoreboard to our right, there's a stark reminder in the background as to why this town is now abandoned. Looking inside the concession stand, you can see what's left, an old microwave. Is that back from the 80s? I don't know, pixie sticks. Well, we know what they served here at one time. So this back end would have had the bathrooms. And you can see this was either the boys' room or the girls' room. And power lines hanging down. I don't know if they're live or not. I don't want to. I doubt it, but you never know. This house is in really rough shape. Looking inside, you can see the remnants of somebody's life. Old sofa, chair, looks like an old TV stand, clothing strewn all around. And the roof is all caved in. I suspect there was a fire here at some point because you can see some stuff burned out on the outside. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be making your way in there. Look at this old screen door hanging off the hinges. I can picture some kid running through, slamming that screen door behind them, grandma yelling at them each time, telling them in or out. So at least that's what my grandma did when we go in and out of her back door. That would have been the front door, but you get the picture. Old chest of drawers and shelving unit just kind of shoved in there. Almost looks like somebody used this as a dumping ground at some point. Looking at this building up close with the pillars, I imagine this was some sort of impressive structure before it was burned down or torn down. You can see the remains of an old fireplace. And over here almost looks like a vault of some sort. I don't know, could this been a bank or some other important building like a courthouse or something here? Who knows? Regardless, it's very intriguing to me. It just stands here on the edge of town, on the edge of Picher, and being overtaken by nature. You can probably hear the trucks in the background because they are still doing cleanup efforts in this area, removing the chat. Even the animals still come through here, as evidenced by the deer tracks. Picher, Oklahoma isn't the only ghost town in this area due to lead and zinc mining. Cardin, which you can see the tower for behind me, is another ghost town here in Oklahoma that is a ghost town because of the lead and zinc mining. And then if you cross over into Kansas, there is a town called Treese that no longer exists. I mean, they basically decimated the entire town. They removed the roads, the buildings, everything. All that's left is a field. And they were also closed down basically for the same reasons as Picher and Cardin. What's left of Cardin. Appears to be an old processing plant of some sort, probably related to the mining industry out here. Unfortunately, I don't have super ninja skills to get over that kind of fencing. And I'm certainly not dressed for prison today, so I guess we're gonna have to skip trying to get in on that abandoned building. Special thanks goes out to all our fellow sightseers here on Patreon and PayPal. Without you, these videos wouldn't be possible. Just outside Picher, we stopped because we seen this vehicle sitting here, and looks like somebody actually drove it in that way. And look at all that stuff that's left inside yet. Wow. Kind of weird. There's no front license plate on it either. And you see a mask hanging from the rear view, so you know this has to be relatively recent.